24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. Beautiful Monday morning. Hope you're doing well. Florida finally got the heat back on. We were kind of cold this... was it just me, or was it colder than usual this winter, right?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
But yesterday was beautiful. Today looks beautiful out there. Nobody's going to complain, right?
No.
Imagine if your life was like that. Imagine if you just... Well, your life is sort of like that, isn't it? Sometimes bad weather comes in as a metaphor in your life, right?
Uh-huh.
And sometimes we can plan for bad weather, whether it's actual weather or bad things happening in our lives. I heard somebody one time say that they plan more for their vacation than they do for their 2-week vacation than they do the other 50 weeks of the year.
Oh, that makes sense to me. I would do that.
And you and I do the radio show, and then after the radio show, we usually do music somewhere. Either we're rehearsing or we're playing like at a nursing home or something like that. So we have our share of trying to squeeze in as much as possible into the course of a day. Let's find out about doing something to make our lives a little bit easier. David A. Dunn is on the phone. It says here he's a retired real estate broker. He runs the Great Silverado Foot Race, and he overcame dyslexia and anxiety. The book is called Get Life Right, 10-Minute Reads, your companion for personal growth, prosperity, and fulfillment. And from what I know about the book, which I don't think I've seen the book, have I? No,
not yet.
No, just the notes on the book. But from what I've seen, it looks like it's way deeper than the title implies. So let's find out about the rest of it from David Dunn. Good morning, David.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Where are you?
I'm in Orange County, California.
Oh, wow. So thank you for getting up early to be with us today.
Hey, my pleasure.
So can I ask a personal question right off the bat?
Sure.
How old are you?
75.
Okay, I got the feeling you were considerably older than us. We're 60, so we're 59. But I got the feeling you've gone around the block a couple more times than us, although we've gone around a few times. Were you always this wise? Let me ask you that. If I spoke to you when you were 20, would you have had some of the same answers you have today?
Actually, 20 was the sweet spot of my beginning, because I read 5 books. I had never read a book until I was 18. And when I finally read books, I only picked the right ones. Think, Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, just common books, Psycho-Cybernetics. And I just had my direction. And I went from being a struggling student to Fix for Life in about 30 years. It worked so well that I am trying to share the message.
So just based on what you just said right there, the information is very applicable and very practical, but you kind of have to get started young. Is that fair to say?
No.
No, not at all. Okay.
This will help you at virtually any age, but the reason I got so hooked on sharing the is that it worked so well for me. This will fix you no matter whether you have little problems or you need a complete makeover. This will touch every part of your life. There's 70 topics, and you just get it. You read the parts that you want. It's like an encyclopedia of self-help ideas. If you listen to Anthony Robbins or any self-help guru currently in vogue today, their primary messages, every single one of them, is in this book. So it's a whole life thing, and it's easy to read. I see a lot of the lessons are like slang because they're fun, they're easy to understand immediately, and if you tell somebody else, they get it immediately. You don't need any further explanation. So.
Does the advice that works depend on who is receiving it? Is that too vague of a question?
No. But I didn't hear the last word.
Okay. Well, based on who receives it. In other words, would the advice you give me,
yes,
work for somebody but maybe not me, or does the advice always work for all of us?
Oh, the advice will work for anybody, but it's a question of how you apply it. So
okay. Now, is the advice problem specific? In other words, I come to you and I say, you know what, my wife died and I'm just despondent, and it's been a year already and I still can't get over it. Can you help me out? And I hate to bring it to the bottom of any of these things, but that's a life experience.
It is, and the book is designed to get your thinking processes on track. So it may not tell you exactly the answer you want, but if it doesn't, it tells you how to work around it. And if you can get your head screwed on straight in the peripheral issues, then you'll be able to solve your problem.
And you brought up something very important. You said you didn't read books until you were 18. Is that because of your dyslexia?
No, because I like playing outside more than I like reading.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so let me ask.
Okay.
So let me ask you something, because you've already established that you've been around 7 decades. Do the kids today? And I'm not asking you to pick on the younger generation. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But I'm just asking you to be honest. Do you think the kids today have different things that might get them depressed than you had when you were younger, and even that Robin and I had when we were younger, simply because they've got more free time? I mean, there was a lot of chores in my life when I was a kid. There was a lot of stuff I had to do. I didn't have time. Like the Carly Simon song says, I didn't have time for the pain, right?
Right.
I have one set of grandkids that are busy every single minute of every single day. They do homework till 10 o'clock at night. And then I have the other students, other grandchildren, who live on a big property, and they don't do anything on the internet. They don't have electronic games or anything. They don't have any, but they don't have many. They don't get into it. And they both do exceptionally well at school. The second group would be like me. They have a farm. They have chores. They use their own imagination, and so it just depends on who your parents are, whether they're feeding you opportunities to learn. I find the kids today are just so wicked smart. It's just amazing. So I think they're making good use of their time if they've got good parents. The one thing I always wish there was a way to stop is suicide. When I hear about a young person so despondent, or any age, doesn't have to be a young person, it's like life just was so hard. They decided they couldn't do it anymore, and I don't know. I one time worked for the juvenile detention system here in Florida, and I sat with a kid in his room, in his cell, I should say. And there was a spider. There happened to be a spider in the corner, and the kid was very depressed. And I said, and he mentioned suicide. So I said, let me tell you something. Suicide is like that spider right there. I made up something on the spot, and it was almost like God was using me. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say anything mystical or that I have anything. But anyway, so I said, if you killed that spider right now, what would happen? It would be a spot on the wall. But if you didn't kill that spider, you have no idea what's going to happen. Same thing with your life. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If you kill yourself, you're in the ground.
Yeah, right.
And so, but I mean, it's probably deeper than that. I'm not a psychologist, but it just seems to me that I wish there was some way to get a message to everybody who wants to kill themselves that this too shall pass. That kind of thinking.
Mm-hmm. That's the single most important thing, is to convince them that this will pass. And usually you do that by distraction, by talking about the good things, and that they will not get a chance to experience.
It says in your bio, because of all the things that happened during World War II and the Great Depression, that you became very frugal. Do you think that frugality is lost on the people of today, and that's why they're just working paycheck to paycheck?
Well, it's lost on our president. It's lost on people in government. I think I'm more worried about them than whether the individual saver can make a difference. But the government, in an effort to hide the national debt, has driven interest rates down to below market values, and that put the savings plan of every senior in the country at risk. Nobody can earn any money by interest, and so therefore there's no reason to save.
No, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So in the old days, I mean, saving was so paramount. Everybody had a passbook savings, and everybody kind of looked at it on a regular basis.
That is so true. I wish you should run for office, or at least talk to somebody in office. David A. Dunn is our guest. His book is called Get Life Right. I just went to your website, getliferight.com. Anybody can go there right now if you're home. Don't do it if you're driving. And the book is 10-minute reads for personal growth. When did the idea to write the book come to you?
Well, I retired early because I wanted to. Real estate wasn't as satisfying to me as teaching. I thought teaching would be. So since I didn't have a credential, I started teaching in prisons, and I started to teach in halfway houses, things of that sort. And so these were the messages that I taught. And really only about maybe one person in every class of 25 would get it. 2 people would sort of get it and apply some of it, but the rest of them, nobody was home. So what I realized is that if I could get the message out to larger masses of people, I could be helping thousands of people at a time instead of 2 and 3. So that's my game plan.
You do have a part in the book. I'm looking at your website right now, where you do talk about many of the things we've already mentioned. Shedding notions on suicide is one of the topics that you've written about. Confidence and self-esteem. I don't know what it says in that piece, but I will tell you this: that I don't know if you've ever listened to Rush Limbaugh.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm not saying I disagree with everything he says. I agree with a lot of what he has said. But one thing he kind of picks on is when people seem to put importance on self-esteem, and he'll kind of say, "Oh, that's for pansies or whatever," you know. Mm-hmm. But I think self-esteem is important. I don't think it should be dismissed as unimportant. Is all I'm trying to say.
It's exceedingly important, but we sometimes people do things wrong. They go sideways with the issue. When the most important thing one of the very most important things is self-esteem, and self-esteem comes primarily from knowing that we can do a good job on anything we attempt to do. If we set out to do something, we can accomplish it. So, in that regard, what could be better than self-esteem? You
talk about relationships, how some people are constantly trying to find new friends, and they don't take the time to build the friendships that they have. I mean, how do you keep people from doing that and just to indulge in what they have?
Well, the question is kind of taking me in 2 different directions at one time. Mm-hmm. The friends take maintenance, and the value of them to you is a function of how much energy you put into them. It's important that we all seek new friends on a constant basis, because they're the ones that teach us and lead us, and we should always be trying to improve ourselves by associating with people that can do us some good. But doing us some good could be somebody who is struggling, who is we do good by helping people that in need as well as anything else. So having friends that are needy is as important as having friends that can benefit us. So it's just a balancing act, and once again, that really is usually more a function of what the parents get the children programmed with early on.
Do you know, this morning we had the story about the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, is that how you say his name? He got 100% of the votes.
Well, I would imagine he would.
I can't imagine what it's like. I can't imagine what it's like living there. And I wanted to say that just to contrast with what we have, despite whatever you think about our government, whatever faults it has, whatever problems we have in Congress, and whatever you disagree with. The fact is that, I mean, you're a real estate broker, you were, and you couldn't, I mean, we have an opportunity here. That's why a lot of times when you speak to somebody, say, anything is possible, you often have to add here, the word here. Mm-hmm. Anything is possible here. I mean, maybe it's possible also in England, or maybe Australia, or maybe, Germany. I don't know.
Yes.
But I know you can do it here. And yes, you have some roadblocks, but they're not unsurmountable. And that's why, I don't know, I think what you're saying is absolutely right, that whatever it is that's bringing you down, even one of the Prince Charles's boys,
yeah,
they could have been sad. They had all the money that they would ever need, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's not always about money, right? Well, didn't Frank Sinatra have a son that wasn't always
he was
so happy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's not always about money, right? Do you talk about relationships, husband, wife, man, women type of relationships in the book?
We do extensively. That's one of my favorite areas, and it's such a enormous subject. It's hard to handle with just like a sentence or two.
Yeah.
But we have a story of Hal and Sally who had what seemed to be a good marriage, but they didn't communicate, and that's a case study. It's the only really big case study we have in the book. We have probably 15 topics on relationships and things of that sort.
So it's fair to say that the book covers the personal life, your financial life, your future, and your future could be both of those things, your finances as well as your personal life, right? What about the unexpected? Does it cover the unexpected, the sudden tsunami, whether it's a real tsunami or a metaphor for something else?
I never thought of writing that topic. But what it does do is it gets you primed so that no matter what happens to you, it's not going to knock you off your foundation, and it helps to build that foundation. The part of the book that really means the most to me is the part where you learn to love your own attributes, including what you consider to be deficits. This book came as a result of my deficits, not as a result of my attributes, because of my positive traits, because it gave me the empathy, and it showed me a need to fill. See, we all need to find a need and fill it. So that is what creates opportunity. So I saw an opportunity for this book, and I'm filling it. And out of appreciation, I'm concentrating on empowering people to understand. For example, a lot of people think you need to build a fire under a person to get them going, and I look at it the opposite way. I think what you need to do is to not build a fire because that makes them anxious about their future. What you need to do is peel back all the talk that they have programmed themselves with that hold them back, and as soon as you do that, you reveal the power that is already in you. So the power is there, and when you find your own power, you're at peace with it. So when somebody tells you to go out and do something and slay this dragon, you're anxious about it, and so it makes the success that you have less desirable.
Yeah, sounds wise. Yeah.
And you also talk about generosity, and you show that by donating a portion of the proceeds to your book.
For the first 100,000 books, every book that you buy will put another book in the hands of a wounded warrior with PTS or some other person who's struggling in life. So I can't. And every dollar that we make will go to put out more books.
You sound like you never gave up. You sound like, I have an expression I like to say, social suicide. These are people who don't really kill themselves, but they are so disconnected with life and so disappointed with life that they just decide to spend the rest of their lives on a couch watching a TV show, and that could start at 20, that could start at 30, that could start at 70. All of a sudden you're not doing anything anymore. That's kind of like you just tossing it in. Another thing that happens for people is they will always blame, and anything that's wrong in their life, they'll blame somebody else, or they'll blame where they are.
Yeah,
I went to Los Angeles once years ago, and thought it was beautiful. I loved Santa Monica. I loved the area, and I was with a guy who grew up there, and he said, "I can't wait to get out of LA. I hate LA." I said, "How is that possible?"
Yeah,
and guess what? I didn't like living where I was living at the time.
Yeah,
and so we all have this thing where we feel like if we move, life will be better.
The geographic cure.
Yeah.
Yes. You mentioned just a sentence or two ago about being unhappy, and my gardener reads my book, and he can barely speak English. But he gave it to one of his customers who used to yell at him and was just a belligerent person. And the guy owned 23 restaurants. He was dying of cancer, and he had burned every bridge with everybody that he knew. And so he read the book, and he thanked me many times because it changed his life. He stopped doing what he was doing, and he brought people back into his life, and it happened like suddenly. And so that was one of my primary encouragements when I was working through the dark days of the book. You know, I figured, well, I've already changed several lives with it, and so that's gave me the courage to continue.
And that's one of the most important things too. Sometimes people can use the life of others as a mirror, and then that will just all of a sudden wake them up that they've got to change or adjust something in their life to become a better person.
Well put.
David, we have a listener calling in, so let's take a phone call, and then we'll make sure that we wrap up the interview with information so people can get the book. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air with David Dunn.
I just wanted to share a thought. Sometimes, you know, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and tell ourselves that we love ourselves. So sometimes we get bogged down with all kind of things in this world, and it's just a point of just stopping and looking at ourselves in the eyes and saying, I love you, and call yourself by your name. Like I say, I love me. You know, I love me because God loves me. I love me. You know, and just periodically saying that right there, along with self-esteem, will bring you back to yourself, loving yourself, okay, and your self-account. I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. I believe you're absolutely right, yeah. Yeah, and I've known a few people who are no longer with us who probably died young because they just didn't think they were worthy, which is maybe why I think it's why I put so much importance on self-esteem. David, it sounds like you have... you are a guru to many people. It sounds like you've been able to put it into words.
Thank you.
The book is called Get Life Right, 10-Minute Reads, your companion for personal growth, prosperity, and fulfillment. I went to the website getliferight.com, and some of the information is there. The book is also an ebook, you said, right?
Yes.
So you can get it on the Amazon, the Nook, and the new iBookstore. Apple's got this new thing, right?
And we're in it.
You also talk about stress in your book, and you really have a good perspective on stress and stress relief and how people can be the best they can be.
The reason I'm fit is because when I got stressed, I exercise hard, and so I think I will outlive my contemporaries by 10 or 15 years.
And are you involved in walking on the Great Silverado Foot Race? Is that what that's about?
Yes, that keeps me going. It's my favorite one. It's running in brush, and it's steep. We do about 3,000 feet of elevation, and and 7 miles. It's a very, very tough race, and so I'm there competing with people that are 50 and.
Wow. Well, good for you, David. Well, it's an honor to have you on our show, David. Thank you so much for being on.
Take a million.
For the listeners, Get Life Right, getliferight.com is the website. All right, we'll take a little break and be right back.
We're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Black Cow composted cow manure is a terrific organic soil amendment. We start with cow manure from dairy farms and then compost it a full 90 days. The result is an all-natural, dark, rich soil amendment that's great for everything you grow. Flowers, vegetables, shrubs, trees, and lawns too. Look for Black Cow in the bright yellow and black bag at your favorite nursery or garden center.
Black Cow, the mature manure, Black Cow.
Your heating and air conditioning unit sure will get a workout this season, and you need to make sure it's in tip-top condition. Let Air Ducts Heating and Air give you that peace of mind by knowing your unit will work at its optimum efficiency, saving you time and money. Air Ducts is a full HVAC residential and commercial company. Air Ducts is family-owned and operated, so we treat you the way we want to be treated. Air Ducts also offers discounts for builders and commercial applications, so give us a call today, 352-304-6766. That number again, 352-304-6766. Air Ducts Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hello, I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Ocala Leads Group. We meet the first Monday of each month right here at the WOCA studios. We are open to all business people that need to connect to each other and network to help this fine community grow. Again, the name is Ocala Leads Group, and we meet the first Monday of each month at 12:07 p.m. right here at the WOCA studios. Questions? Call 732-8000. Please, make the time to grow.
Stay informed on everything going on in the villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Legally Yours, brought to you by Fuller & Fuller Attorneys at Law. On the air every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. with John Fuller, a board-certified civil trial lawyer for over 25 years. John welcomes your questions, from business to complex family matters to legal disputes. So tune in every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, The Source.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front-end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala Restore at 926 Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give us a call at 401-0075 and we'll come pick it up. For more information, visit ocalarestore.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County. Building homes, building hope, building community.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Crash diets can literally warp our body because when you gain the weight back, which most people do, by the way, it can end up in completely different places. You get more stains and discoloration from red wine, but white wine is more acidic, so it can etch tooth enamel and makes your teeth even more vulnerable to stains from dark-colored food.